Hello internets, I'm HamsterBomb and you guys are back for another figure review video. It's been a long time and I'm really excited to do this one in particular. I didn't really want to get a Legend of Zelda Link Figma for the longest time because the only options we had was Skyward Sword, and I don't know, it's just, aside from the fact that I'm not a big fan of that Zelda game, he aesthetically doesn't look nearly as cool as I remember him in what was, I'm still not sure. Breath of the Wild made me so conflicted whether what my favorite Zelda game is. Let me go back then. What my favorite Zelda game at the time was, and still might be, that I absolutely adore is Twilight Princess. And of course, they had to go and make a Zelda Twilight Princess Link Figma, and that was that. I basically was like, yep, gotta have this. Now, the first thing I want to cover here is there were two different versions of this guy they actually came out with. There is the normal Figma of just Link, and then there is the DX version, or the deluxe version. Sometimes they just call it that. So, this actually isn't mine. It's a friend of mine's, but I do have a ordinary Link Figma in his box right here. So I can at least show you this to show you what kind of differences you're going to be getting if you went with this instead. I'm also going to move the camera around, so hopefully this isn't too confusing. So, first off, if you had the normal version, which, by the way, is basically if you just bare bones want Link, then cool, here you go. You're perfectly fine with this. You're getting the exact identical sized Link, who is just right here. In the DX version, you get his Hylian shield, which I have on his back right now. You get the Master Sword and its scabbard, also on his back. I'll show you how to do all that stuff. And you get two faces. You get, well, technically three. He's wearing one. And I'll show you more of those details in a bit, but that's it. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you also get a stand, one of the stands. You get a bag, a couple instructions, but, I mean, that's all. It's not really a bad deal or anything. They show you shots on the back, including Zelda. I do have a Zelda to show you, but she'll be in a later video. But I just wanted to briefly show you this, show you the box of this, because it's still really cool, really good deal. It's for a regular Twilight Princess Link. What I'm going to be showing you, though, is everything else that shows up in the DX box, which is a lot bigger. And it's really just wider. I have to lift you again just so we can see the top of it. So, of course, I've taken everything out of here. But this is just, for example, 320 is this one. If you were taking a look at everything else that is in this one, it's really sweet. There's actually, these are different photos of Link that I'm showing you on the sides here. Namely, he's got different accessories, and the Orden sword is included in this one. I didn't really show the back at all. There we go. A lot of different shots on this one of Link using the claw shot, which I'll show you. That's pretty sweet. The ball and chain. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yes, need that. And amazing, a bow and arrow. Probably my favorite. I mean, I have him using it right now. I haven't really changed him up too much just yet, but just gotta love the bow and arrow. So anyway, there's the box. He's also wearing that Hawkeye thing. That's what it was called, the Hawkeye, I think. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff in here, clearly all scattered on the ground, and aside from this, you also get, of course, a Figma bag in order to store all of this stuff so you don't lose it, and they very nicely gave some little booklets. I believe there's actually an English version this time, which is crazy. Well, by English, I mean, they made it simple enough. Yeah, no, it's totally written in English, too. So that's a first. They're showing how to use certain parts, which is super appreciated, how the claw shot comes apart, how it's used, and all that good stuff. So if you have questions with these things, because normally that was a big problem with Figma stuff in the past, I had no idea. Shoot, how's this even fold back up? I don't know, I screwed it up. I would get confused, and I'd be scared that I'm going to break things if I assembled them in the wrong way. So they're also showing how you can take apart the shield and put it on the back of Link, and also switch out which sword you have there, the Orden sword or the Master Sword. So very cool, all that stuff. Nobody really cares about the papers. That was just more of a cool thing to show you that they are there. The way I do these figure review videos is I get to the actual figure last. I want to look at all the accessories and stuff that comes with it first, and of course the box, which we got to cover already. So looking at some of this stuff first, how about we get this bad boy first, because I know you're probably all looking at this. Like I mentioned, this is one of the coolest things in here. I just popped that off of the stand here. They give you a second stand with Link. This is not just an extra one I have. That's a second stand, also with a little claw piece for holding the claw shots. It was showing in the picture, so if you want to like suspend it in the air like you just shot the claw shots, you get a second stand, which is amazing. This thing alone is really awesome. I haven't actually gotten to have Link posed with it yet. I haven't had him for very long, but I was just too excited how to make this video because this is sweet. I remember being so excited when like Link just eyes this on the ground after fighting a mini boss, like, you know, I think I'll take that. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's pretty heavy. But this thing isn't, I mean, it's solid plastic, but it's not like it's solid metal. The chain here, however, this is totally metal. This is metal. This is a metal chain. Also goes into the end here, into this little piece, which is going to go into Link's hand. He's got one of the hands that'll specifically grab this bad boy. Actually, not sure which it. Uh-oh, don't want to lose those. The little, the regular shut fist wrists, which are on him when you get him out of the box, are very loose when you put them on this, I've noticed. So yeah, here. So if I were to grab one of these guys, it'll just go right in his hand, or at least it should. I don't really want to force it right now while I'm behind a camera, but that's basically what it's for. You kind of wrap it around again, and you're good to go. That's really awesome that they wanted to include a piece like that that really makes it Twilight Princess-y for me. I don't know. I was excited to see that. Before I get to the rest of those, I'm pulling hands off, and I don't want to ruin the rest of this. So how about I just put the hands back on and show you. That one should go here. What kind of hands you get. So he has two hands right now that are already being used, obviously, and those are for the bow and arrow. So we'll get to those in a minute. But for now, the rest of the hands... actually, I think these hands are specific to the DX set. They should be. The other two hands here are for holding either a sword or for holding... I'm going to get my focus in a little bit closer here, too. It's either for a sword or it's for holding, anything else, so like the ball and chain. Also, he has to stick his hand into the claw shot in order to use that, so that's likely what these are extra for. And also, Figma loves doing this outstretched hand, which is appreciated to have something else if you wanted to do some pose that does not involve any extra accessories, but Link is supposed to have a million accessories, so I figure DX version all the way, though it is still appreciated, awesome to have. So to just look at his hands as he is using them here, I'm going to get up a little bit higher just so we can see this. One of his hands here, you can see he's kind of pinching the back of the arrow between his fingers. And you actually have to, you can see, push a little bit of the back of the arrow in between those fingers. There's a little slot in there for him to hold it. And that's a handy hand only for that. And this one, of course, just holds the bow. So those are exclusive ones just for the DX version. I think they're nice. It's nice to have extras. But yeah, anyway. Moving on from there, he's got a couple faces, and the DX one also has an additional face. Oh, goodness. I could just put my focus on auto, though that's very dangerous when I do that. It's just instead of me having to do this all the time. He's got they're okay. I don't really have a, hey, come on, focus. I put my faith in you. There you go. So, he's got like this weird scowl on the top. Not sure, I don't know, it's not bad or anything. The one on the bottom, I've just seen way too much, and just kind of bothers me, to be honest. So, focus, can you calm down? There we go. I like the detail of having the earrings in. That's nice to see them put that detail in, because you really can't see it when it's actually put on Link that well. And this is the DX exclusive one. This is the Hawkeye, I believe it's called. Come on now. The Hawkeye, you can get it in the game to assist you in basically seeing a lot farther and kind of turning your bow and arrow into a sniper, which is awesome, but you never see your character ever wearing this. So, it's a little strange, honestly, seeing Link actually wear this thing. Okay, the focus is actually just driving me crazy. I'm just going to keep it close. So, you never actually see Link wearing this thing, but here it is anyway. I'll probably never use it, but it's like, Zero Suit coming with that helmet. Where you're like, I'm glad you thought of that, but I don't care. So, there's that. I mean, I'd rather be showered in extra things than have to deal with too few. So, Claw Shot. Let's jump over to this guy. So, this actually is the Claw Shot. There's an extended piece over here that we'll get to in a minute, but this would basically separate, and you would attach the other end of the Claw Shot here into the back of this guy instead, right here at the point. I believe this just pops right off. There we go. And so this, looking at just this guy, is the Claw Shot. So we kind of saw from before, Link is just going to use that grabbing hand, grabs the end of this thing. And you can do whatever you want with it now because you have a second stand to work with. And you can either have the shut version or the open version. For now, I guess I can switch it over to the open one, or the shot Claw Shot. I haven't really done anything with this one yet. Man, that stays in there nice and snug. That's good. In fact, I gotta twist it in there to get it really... Okay, that's good. I've seen some people, because this is so secure, actually hook this up to Link and use this end and like hook it up to like fishing wire or something like that. Something with a mesh-like grid that's sturdy enough that you can actually suspend Link from it because it has that much strength in this. Now, the downside, you can't actually like pinch these in, right, in order to retract it yourself. It doesn't do that. That's why you have a different head. But still, this one, by the way, in case you wanted to like weave stuff through it, these ends at the tip, it's kind of hard to see with my hands blocking the light. The tip, you can kind of see, they're not actually seamed together. So you could press a singular thing through it and have him suspend from it. But, I mean, I don't know. It's an option. So if he's, like, hanging from something, this could be a pretty safe one. If you, like, I don't know, have him hanging from, like, some sort of pole that you could weave through here. That'd be kind of cool. And in fact, I may do that next. That's a pretty cool idea. So, anyway, it's nice to know that, like, the Claw Shot, this was one of my favorite items, too. I love how he has two of them. It's kind of a bummer that they don't give you a second base of the Claw Shot to grab onto, because then you could use both, you know, have double Claw Shots going like you do get in the game, so you can basically Spider-Man your way around, but it's okay. I'm cool with just having the one because this is such, once again, such a Twilight Princess thing. It's like so, like, mecha ancient technology, just looks awesome and need to have. So, anyway, the Claw Shot's a really cool one, too. This little guy here, if you might have been looking at it and confused, this actually attaches to the back of the shield when we get there, and this comes with the ordinary Link as well. So far, I've just kind of been hopefully clarifying what was and was not coming with the regular Link. So this little guy will be with the regular Link, and you use it to basically turn the shield that is on his back into a wearable shield on his arm. Because this would, like, strap over his arm. I have it on his back right now because he's obviously using the bow. This is a really cool one. I really appreciate this. This, in case you don't want to have your Link fully equipped with the Master Sword already, because it seems every Link figure or Figma or, I don't know, Amiibo or whatever, he's always got the Master Sword. Why not revert to your starting weapon that you, I think, fight the first 3 or 4 dungeons with? I think it is 4. The Orden Sword. Or Orden, not entirely positive. But still, very cool that you have this. I appreciate that original red sword and scabbard. It just looks so, I don't know. It's like old-fashioned and it feels early game, which is so nice. And it fits very nicely in here, very snug. It very loosely goes in here, and then the final bit, it has just a little bit more air pressure, and it feels great as it goes in. There's a little peg here in the back to assist it in sticking to Link's back when you secure it, so he can have this equipped on his back, and obviously he's got different hands for using these swords. In order to use the sword, you basically pop the hilt off and slide it through his hand. I'm not going to bother doing that at the moment, so we can just move on to the big guy himself, because he had so many accessories. It's already been 15 minutes just talking about all the other things, and really, I didn't even get to his bow yet. Though I am going to have to deconstruct him a little bit just at the moment so that we can properly see the bow. So let's do that right now. You can see, unfortunately, there is no fishing line or any wiring or anything to show the bow happen. You just, don't see that. So, yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. At first I was like, that looks kind of silly, but then when you step back, no, it really doesn't. So, couple things about just shooting with the bow or aiming with the bow I've already noticed. It's a little strange how the highest he can really angle his wrist right here is almost adequate for you to normally hold the bow. So it looks a little strange. I don't know, you gotta hold it up really high, which I figure it was like, whatever. I mean, it's about eye level anyway, and that looks good, but aiming at any other angle looks kind of funny. So you can have him like, I don't know, mid-draw or something like that, but anyway, let's pop this guy out of here. You can take a look at just the arrow, about what you would expect. So you can see the back of this thing, very detailed still. It's even got a little set of ribs going down the back of this silver piece that will go in the fingers. And the arrow itself is really detailed too. I'm going to put that guy back here. It's a really delicate piece. And as I mentioned how the sword comes apart, the bow will do the same thing. It's in two pieces. And because... Whoa. Yeah, that whole thing unfortunately has to come out. I was going to say, I probably don't need to completely remove it, but I kind of do, because it's just the way to get it off. Because sometimes it's better just to leave it on there. So this is just the bow. It's, I don't know, I think it's really well made. I like how smooth and simple it was to take that apart and switch pieces around, which I appreciate. Some of the older ones are a little tougher to do that. So we can finally get to Link, unless you want to take a look at his Master Sword and Hylian Shield, which I haven't even shown you yet. They are on his back at the moment. If you've seen photos where you're like, wow, they look super metallic, they do have a metallic paint. They do look really good. Now they're not as perfectly shimmery and awesome as like they Photoshopped them in the photos, but I do want to say though, the Master Sword kind of does look that great. Link, I'm gonna push your head a little bit farther awkwardly just so we can take a look at your sword if I can steal it. This thing looks great. This really looks great. In fact, I want to be able to use this in another pose coming up, because of course, if I had the ordinary Link, he would definitely be holding this all the time, because I would be obviously missing all of this extra stuff, but still, once again, the little handle is going to pop off so you can put his hand in there. You have super fine detail of the Triforce inscribed on this thing. Looks really nice. I'm actually going to lay this down at the moment, so we can start popping all of this extra stuff off of his back, because it'll be a little easier to handle Link in a minute. So if I take this out, how did I do that? I think you stuff it under, yeah, there we go, by popping this, there we go, that piece off of the shield. I'll take a look at the shield in a moment, just because this goes with the Master Sword. It's scabbard. Still looks really nice, very detailed. It's got the metallic paint on the gold, though it's not nearly as prominent as I want to say, or as reflective as the paint on the actual sword. It's a lot shinier, as well as the hilt of this thing looks perfect. So that just it doesn't like click in, which is good, because I don't want to scratch any paint. It goes in very snug, perfectly. Really appreciate the extra work they've done on that. You can see it is longer than the Orden sword, so they did keep the scale proper too, which is good. We'll also appreciate that. So you kind of saw this piece that I took off the back of the shield. This, as well as that rubbery other leather one, They go in different directions on the back based on however you want to use this thing. You know, whether it's on Link's arm or on his back, you can kind of move it around. And all the instructions showing how to do that, fortunately, they gave you in those papers in the beginning, so that's nice. This thing is super detailed too. Really, really like this. I have a Hylian shield that is mounted over my mantle with a Master Sword going through it, like this way. It's awesome. So I really appreciate finally having a nice figure that uses one of these things. I gotta have Link downstairs somewhere. I don't know, fighting Samus or something like that. I'm getting close to like a Smash Brothers lineup too. So anyway, this thing is very smooth, very well painted. I really want to see the shield more. This is actually why I was disappointed, kind of with the bow setup I was doing before. Like I wanted to change it up because I want to see this. I want to see the shield. It's so well made, so well made. So I'm gonna lay this guy down as well, so we can finally, I swear, get to Link. Now, at the moment, I've got him on that stand, which is going to be helping us out, I say. So, what I'll do from here is we'll just kind of go from top to bottom, look at what moves, and if there's any issues with anything or anything I've found so far, which really there's not. So, we're just going to take a quick look at this guy. This, like I said, is going to be the identical Link that will show up in the regular box. It's just the accessories that are in the DX version. So, just on his head, you're probably wondering about his hat, because that is an additional pivot point, another joint right here. That does actually move, so that's nice. He can, obviously, like any other Figma, move his head just at about this neck joint perfectly well. And other than that, like the hair, I think, pops off first, and then the face if you wanted to switch faces. I kind of prefer this face, which is just his normal, I don't know, I don't want to call it a scowl, but that's just what he looks like, trying to get us a bit of a sharper image. There we go. So yeah, it's just that ordinary face that I would prefer to have him with, more of a serious look, as opposed to him, I don't know, actually like growling out of the side of his mouth, or I don't know, if he was like mid-swing, this is fine. The growl's like a little weird. I don't, maybe if you're having him like climb up something and he's like straining or something. I mean, I guess it's fine. So also this thing does turn, not much, but it does turn. That's about as far as I can get it to turn there, far the other way, without me forcing it. I don't really want to. Aside from it also coming in and out like so, which is cool. It's a lot of movement just in the hat, which you're going to need because you're going to have, you know, as you saw before, a bunch of stuff piled up on his back, and you might need to move the hat out of the way in order to pose it properly the way you want. So there's that. Also, looking at the shoulders, these are double jointed, which is awesome. You can kind of move them down like so in order to get his arm out a lot farther than it would have normally, which is cool. You can also use that to kind of hide any parts that are underneath his arm if it's revealing bits that you don't want to see. Though they did go through the effort and actually paint and sculpt the chainmail. It's pretty hard to see because of the shadows I have going right now. But let me move this. The chainmail that is actually under his arm, really, really well done. There we go. This should make it a little bit easier. Yeah, you can now see that under there. Like, it's the same chainmail texture that's going all over. It's really well done. The double joint I find really helpful, especially when trying to get the bow and arrow or a specific pose you want right. Really helps out. See, it moves quite a lot, and then you can move that guy one more time. You can kind of see the double joint right there if I'm exposing it, but the whole idea is to hide it. Of course, he pivots just fine on the elbows. They go back about as far as you'd expect any other Figma to, and the wrists are like any other Figma that you're going to see. You can basically rotate them in any direction, and they do move, of course, but the bow and arrow ones, like I mentioned, they don't really move as far as I wanted them to move. Like, it moves for what's natural, but it's just the sculpt, I guess the sculpt or the shape of this hand he's aiming his wrist down as you put it in, so it's really hard to have him correct that up to aim the bow straight. But it wasn't that big of a deal. Basically, after finessing it a bit, I was able to fix that problem. Also, we got a joint in the waist, which is helpful because he is rubber plastic, so you could move him around a little bit more if you needed to. He's got really detailed sculpts of his packs on his back. You can see from here now, this stand goes into one of the two patches on his back, and that hole on his back is specifically for holding a sword. And the way that the shield is held up, just now that we can see this, with this metal thing, right? You use this to clamp over a sword, and you just attach it to the back of the shield. So, and then you attach the whole shebang on his back, and works out just fine. So, other than, I really appreciate the extra detail of like the stitching and the symbols and stuff that goes on the corners of his tunic. From here, you can actually see this is rubber plastic as I stretched the legs apart. It can go back together. This whole thing is nice, movable, rubbery kind of plastic, though it does hinder you a little bit just because it's in the way. But it's better than it being in multiple pieces so that it can fold. I'd rather it look really detailed. Also, the colors they've chose here are really nice. They're only coming through so-so on my camera, but I prefer the muted colors for Twilight Princess instead of him looking super colorful like a cartoon character. If you wanted to go that route, there is a a Wind Waker Nendoroid. Really cool. Anyway, he's got normal articulation in the boots. Same for the hips too. It's just a normal leg if you were curious. I mean, I figured you would assume that. He's also got a lot of movement in his ankle, as well as a little bit here in his toe. There we go. They do move up a good amount for, I guess, running and such. But yeah, that is... Okay, let's stand up a little bit more professionally there, buddy. There we go. Yeah, that's Link. And I'm really glad to get to finally show him to you guys. He was actually a birthday gift, so I was really excited, like, trying to... move him around, take a look at all the other options of the things I could pose with so I could do a cool video for you. I'm really glad I get to do this as well while we're doing Zelda Breath of the Wild on the channel. I'm so glad we could finally play some Zelda on here. It's one of my favorite games I've ever gotten to play. Zelda, the franchise in general, not just Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's an amazing game too. I am hoping eventually I might be able to do a Zelda Twilight Princess randomizer, but I'm not entirely sure if that's even possible. I'd love to do it, similar to our Metroid Prime randomizer, but I don't know if it's even going to work. So I throw that out there to you guys. If any of you have an idea of how that could happen or know how to build such a thing, I would really appreciate the help. But either way, that's Link, and I hope I've gotten a good chance to show you everything that he does come with, so you have an idea of the options, or more, you know, what your variance is from getting this guy versus, you know, just regular Link, so you can hopefully make that decision for yourself. But either way, that is all the time I have for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next figure review video. Bye!